Okay, so good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Shannon Steiger. I am a certified senior housing professional. I am with Buckaloo Realty Group. I am going to be your moderator today. We have a great panel that's going to be here today. Our topic today is the truth about staying purposeful at every stage of life. A lot of us were here last month, and we heard Nikki talk about the stage, not age, leaving us all thinking about what stage am I in life. And I'm going to be kind of honest, all of us kind of thinking, I wonder what stage she's in, and I kind of wonder what stage he's in. It's just making us thinking about it a little bit differently. So this month we're going to take that to the next level, and we're going to take it a step further. We're going to be talking about being purposeful with each stage of our life. Okay? In preparing for this, it's one of my favorite things to be able to work with Nikki and prepare for these and start listening and thinking and reading about the topics. And in doing that this month, I'm going to tell you, I began to hear and read some of the most amazing, fun, interesting, motivational stories about people being purposeful with their lives. Something as awe-inspiring as a friend of mine who is 87 years old. I did not know this about her, but in her, after she left teaching of 20 years, she has written 17 Harlequin romance novels. And I thought, wow, that was really kind of cool. It never occurred to me. Now, I've heard her read things, and I've heard what she writes, just things for our group that she's in. Well, now I understand why she's so good at it. And she really took her passion to the next level. And then also to talk to people who their passion and what they've done when they have left their profession is something as simple as being really involved with their family and really being very involved with their church. So it's been so, like I said, very purposeful for me in the last 2 weeks, being able to get prepared and think about starting this with you guys today. So on the overhead and on the notes that you have in front of you, you have some truths about being purposeful. And it can be it's all very personalized. There's not one size fits all. So it's going to be really kind of an interesting conversation today with our panelists, hearing what their journey has looked like, what they've learned, and where they stand in their stages of life. And maybe, you never know, we might hear some really exciting announcements today from somebody, you never know. On the overhead and the things that you're reading, you're going to see the word retirement. And what I've seen is sometimes, and more recently, that the word retirement is very outdated. It's a traditional word that was actually instituted or created in 1935. Social Security created that term in 1935. They designated in 1935, I'm going to keep reiterating that because that's a long time ago, that retirement age was 65. Now, I thought an interesting fact about that was the life expectancy then was 61. So a lot of people never made it to that magic 65. So now we're in 2024, and retirement age it fluctuates, I guess, based on that when you were born. I mean, there's lots of rules there, but it's still 65 in general. But our average age expectancy is close to 80, and a lot of people are living much older than 80. So I guess my question to you guys, and I know we've had this conversation a lot through the years here at Senior Living Truth Series, how many of you plan on living to, let's just say 100? How many people plan on living to 100? Oh, there's a lot of hands. Okay. So how many people plan on living to over 80? I mean, we're all going to be living over, a lot of us. That's going to be more the norm. So that means that the traditional old-fashioned 65, we've got 20, 30 years afterwards, and sometimes that's longer than we may have done our professions. So retirement is not an accurate term anymore. So we're going to practice. I'm going to practice today. I I've picked a new term. I looked at a lot of them, and some of them I didn't like, some of them I liked. So the one I've landed on and kind of polled everybody in the office and people I talked to, I like the word encore. And because it's always changing. And how you can have as many encores. Have you been to concerts where the performer was amazing and they just came back and came back, and each time they came back for an encore, it was probably better than the actual concert or better than the performance, because they got to do what they really loved to do and do it how they wanted to do it, and everybody still wanted more. So that's how today I'm going to practice. Sometimes I'll slip up, I'll tell you, and maybe still say retirement, but I'm going to practice and I'm going to focus on saying encore today. So by the end of the day, I'll ask you if you like the term encore, because there's lots of them. We can pick lots of different terms. But like I said, testing it out today to see how it goes. I'm sorry. Okay, no, oh yeah, and I decided that yesterday, so you're absolutely fine. Okay, so today, I'd like to bring up our group of panelists. So if I could ask our panelists to come up. They are going to share their experiences with their encore. See, doesn't sound too bad, doesn't it? And they're going to join me, so join me in welcoming our panelists. Now, I will tell you, we are missing one of our panelists. She will be here momentarily, possibly. So, Steve, I'm going to actually, or Kevin, I'll have you sit in the middle. And when she comes, she can have that end seat there. So just, again, I always kind of feel like I have to do full disclosure with everybody. Our third panelist, her name is Dr. Diane Bauer. She is my mom. And do you see your children or see your parents, and it's different points in life you thought, oh, yeah, that's where I got that from. Or, oh, yeah, I came by it naturally. Well, I have always been geographically challenged. GPS is traditionally my friend most of the time. I will tell you it has led me to a few cow pastures throughout Oklahoma. But overall, I do pretty good. Well, today we're just going to say I know where I got it from, because GPS is leading my mother on a really long expedition to get to crossings today. So we could see her momentarily, and we could potentially not. We'll see. When she gets here, Jake will be gracious enough to help her walk up and get setted, and she will just hit the ground running as soon as she gets here. But these guys are going to be able to handle it without her. We're not worried. Okay, so let's get started. Steve, I'd like to start with you. Steve was worried that he had to sit next to me, by the way. He said, now, do I have to sit next to you because you think I'm going to be the troublemaker? I said, oh, no. Really, I probably should have put Dr. Bauer here, because she's going to be the one that needs probably the most.
No, I don't think you know me well enough, apparently.
Well, that's okay. Well, see, then maybe I just picked right. You never know. Okay, so Steve, let's start with telling us a little bit about you and your background, including your education, your career, your family, and how long you have been in the encore stage.
All right. So I went to school at Oklahoma State. Go Pokes. Gotta get that in. But I hired on at Western Electric back in the day, and some of you may or may not remember that place, but I've been there, put in 29 years with what ended up being Lucent Technologies, and I retired from them, according to their words. I encored from them. And so I ended up, I was too young to just not do anything. So I ended up going to FAA. I worked out there another 9 years. And so my career was 38 years long. So I loved working. I enjoyed my job. It was just time to enjoy it a different way. So I transitioned into an encore. I'm using all your buzzwords.
I'm telling you, you're doing good.
Yeah. And I ended up getting involved with a lot of programs. I've been busy at my church. I've been in Deacon Leadership meeting, or Deacon Leadership program, and I've been involved with different things on the side. I don't know, I guess you can call me a landlord in a way, because I'm always having to work on a house that my daughter owns. So
if you don't get the mortgage or the rent, then you're just a handyman.
Oh, okay. I'm just a handyman. I'm not real handy at it either. So, but anyway, I'm involved with Villages OKC now. been involved with them for probably going on 7, almost 8 years now. So that's me.
Okay, well, very good, thank you. So your retirement / encore / life 2.0, you did it twice, and you're doing it constantly through what you're doing now, correct? Kind of moving through different projects, different purposeful, you know what you're thinking about doing next and finishing it and moving on to something else then, correct?
That's more or less me.
Did you?
I'm a starter, mainly.
Okay.
Maintaining, maybe I get bored with it, I don't know. But I've got things started, and I'm looking for the next opportunity right now. So.
Okay. So you're a visionary. You're a visionary, you start it, you get it going, and let somebody else execute it for you.
I wouldn't call myself a visionary.
Yeah, I would. I'll do it for you. Okay, so very good. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. Okay, so Kevin, so tell us about yourself, your organization, Seniors Helping Seniors, and why you chose the business model and the career path that you did.
Sure. Well, I started my career actually in full-time ministry. I have a bachelor's degree in biblical studies, a master's degree in theological studies. I started as a youth minister, became a senior pastor. I was in full-time ministry for about 15 years. Then I transitioned into nonprofit work. And for the last 10 years or so prior to starting this business, worked at Feed the Children. I had the opportunity to travel the world and work with volunteers of all ages and trying to address poverty, and it was a wonderful experience. I met and married my wife here in Oklahoma, and she bounced all around with me in our ministry positions and as we transitioned into nonprofit work. But I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad was an entrepreneur and was in full-time business until he sold his business when he was in his early 50s. And then he had an encore and became a teacher. After he sold his business, started a second career as a teacher. And so while I had been in ministry and nonprofit work, I always had entrepreneurial inclinations or aspirations, I guess you should say. And it was after the pandemic that I really began thinking, all right, I think it's time to do something different. I want to look for the next stage of my career, my life, what I want to do. And I began looking into different business opportunities, worked with a consultant to help me try and find the right thing for me. And I discovered Seniors Helping Seniors. What I love about this company is that while it is a for-profit business, it's all about serving people. I've spent my entire life in service to people, and to be able to find a business opportunity that allows me to continue to serve people was just really, it's very important to me. It just aligns with who I am, with my values. And so Seniors Helping Seniors is a home care agency. We provide services for seniors who need assistance to be able to stay in the residence of their choice. And so we serve seniors in their private homes or in independent living communities, assisted living communities. They just need a little extra help. What makes us unique is that all of our caregivers are seniors themselves. So we hire active seniors to assist those seniors to be able to stay in the residence of their choice.
So really you kind of took your expertise and experience through ministry, and you are now using that skill to pair people with a new friend and someone that they can share their gifts with.
Oh, absolutely. To me, this is a ministry, what we do. Okay. It is a ministry. You know, if you're in church work, you know, you're always recruiting volunteers or finding people to go out and help others to do things that serve the community or serve other members of the church. And it's the same philosophy. It's just you get to do good and make a little money while you're doing it. But we're still helping people, all right? And it's about matching people with others that it's not just a job, it's also an opportunity to make a friend.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, we're glad you're here, thank you. Okay, so Steve, was the decision, so we're using the word retirement because that first time it was just flat retirement. Was your retirement the decision, was it difficult for you? And if so, if it was, why? And if it wasn't, why?
It was not at all a difficult decision. So I'd been ready to go for a while, and we had planned all along to execute on May of 2022. That was the date I was going to walk out the door at my final career, and or at the current career, I guess you'd say. And for some health reasons, I ended up leaving in January, which still got through it all. Was thrilled I did it, and it was just it was part of the game plan.
Okay, so it wasn't as difficult for you because it was part of your roadmap. You had been talking about it, thinking about it. When you decided to retire that first time, you said you were younger.
Yeah.
Did you know you were was part of your roadmap and your plan to go back to work?
Well, so if anybody here knows the story of Lucent Technologies and later Alcatel-Lucent, the company just fell apart.
Okay.
And I was like the 8th guy that walked through the doors left out of 8,500 people that I saw. I mean, it was just, I hung on as long as I could. They wanted me to take a job that I just didn't want to do.
Okay.
And I said, I'm not going to do that. Well, you're probably going to get laid off. So I said, I'm still not doing it. Lay me off. And so they did, and I immediately had a job at FAA and never looked back. So I missed the job at Lucent, but it was time to go.
Okay. So when you decided to leave FAA, your second encore,
Yeah.
so was that a difficult decision?
Not at all. That was. I walked in the door at FAA and they told me, I just want you to understand one thing. This is not a career, it's a job. That was word for word from a manager out there. I said, okay, good to know. And so I walked away from a job.
Okay.
And then I never looked back. I was ready to go.
Okay, so you're ready to go. Was this also part of your plan?
Yes.
Had you been thinking about it, talking about it? So when you left FAA, what was your next step? What was your plan?
So I've been involved with Villages OKC at that time, a few years before, and it was just moving into a different role, a little more engaged role with it, and so it was still part of the plan.
Okay. So my hunch is you were recruited to take on more responsibility with each of your encores. Somebody helped you recognize or understand that, oh, we have something for you to help with.
Apparently I have the word sucker written on my forehead. So people see that and they go, oh, I'm going to go ask him to help. So.
Okay, so I don't think it's sucker. I think it's tattooed. He won't say no. Because I have the same tattoo, I just think mine's on the arm. My bangs cover it on my head, so I understand. Oh, here we go. We're so glad you're here. Did the GPS that you made it. So we're gonna take a step back, real quick, and let's get caught up real quick. So, Dr. Bauer, and I've already disclosed that you're also mom. So if I digress back to mom, you'll just kind of have to forgive me.
I wouldn't have owned up to it.
Yeah. See, this is the true daughter. I'm owning up to it. I'm not just telling you she's Dr. Bauer and I don't know who this woman is. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you and your background, including your education, career, family, and how long you've been. Oh, you did miss one part, so this is the cliff note. We're trying not to use the word retirement today. We're testing out new words. Today we're testing out encore instead of retirement. Actually, you need to know some of the reason is because my mom really doesn't like the word retirement. So I usually get corrected. So I thought I'd do it in advance and pick a new word. So, and then also I like the word. So we're talking about encore. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, including your education, career, family, and how long you have been in the encore stage.
All of my life.
Okay, like that.
My name's Diane Bauer. I raised two daughters primarily by myself.
Hold up like you're a rock star.
With a whole lot of help from grandparents. I have a PhD in clinical psychology. The most meaningful work for my life I have done the last 25 years treating patients that were in a skilled unit. I really learned the most from that job. I've done a whole lot of other things in this field. The last 5 years I also did veteran psychiatric exams, which was another quite experience. But I learned so much about life from treating people in a skilled unit.
Okay, very good. So your encore was not voluntary, was it?
No, I thought my encore was. I planned. I always had this saying, don't stay too long at the dance. Don't stay too long at the dance. And I had clear-cut plans. When I reached a point that I could no longer manage my farm, I would downsize, sell it, move into the city, and I did all of that. So I thought I had done my encore. I was 72. I intended to work till 93. I loved my job. I was thoroughly enjoying it. And one day, a gentleman came in that had decided before he came, ever who did his evaluation that day, he was going to kill. And unfortunately, that was me. So all of my plans certainly served me, because had I still been on the farm, likely I wouldn't be here today. And I mean that very seriously. Because I would have had two monumental tasks to do at a very old age. And I don't believe I could have done it. But because my first encore successfully completed, I'm living in a very safe high-rise apartment downtown, was an ideal place for rehabilitation, and I was able to accomplish that and still be alive. Now, I'm doing another encore, and I'm kind of in the midst of that. So I'm healed, I'm doing well, I'm working with a personal trainer. Physically, I'm getting very healthy. And now I'm in the middle of, what do I want to do now? And I'm only picking out those things that look fun to me.
Okay, very good. So excellent. So actually, A+, you got right caught up, and you are all now in the same path, and we're on the right number on my little card, so we're right where we need to be. So good job. Okay, so next, we're going to talk about that. So Kevin, so let's talk about you. Do you plan on, I'm going to use the word retire this time. Do you plan on retiring, and if so, why or why not?
Well, I want to follow the example that I've seen in my own family.
Okay.
So, my dad sold his business and he became a teacher. He technically retired from teaching, but he never retired from life. He was active until the very end, volunteering and serving and finding ways to be involved. My grandfather was the same way. He had multiple business ventures and was active for his entire life. And that's really the way I want to be as well. I'm entering a new phase right now. This is a new phase for me with this business. I don't see an end in sight. This is incredibly fulfilling. I get a chance to do work that I enjoy. I have incredible fulfillment knowing that we're helping people. And if you can find something that brings you purpose in life, why would you ever stop doing it?
Correct.
And so for me, I plan to continue for the foreseeable future. I really don't know. I have a hard time taking a weekend off. I can't imagine taking several years off. My wife, I drive her crazy because on Saturdays when I'm supposed to be taking a day off, I can sit around the house for a little bit in the morning, and then I'm almost like a caged tiger. I just start kind of roaming around the house. And I got to get out and do something, go somewhere, find something to do, a chore around the house, or just get out. I'm just naturally kind of a more active person, and so I don't foresee that happening. And to be honest, the people that I get to work with now, they're an inspiration to me. I mean, these are people who have full lives. Some of our caregivers have had full careers in other areas, in IT, in sales, and business development. And now they're still working a little bit, but they have time for their kids and their grandkids. And if I can find something like that to where you're able to have the best of both worlds. You're able to get out and be active and yet still have time for the things that really matter. That's how I want to live.
Okay. So encore is actually a pretty comfortable term for you to think about, because it's about not retiring, not stopping, but it's about continuing on just another route, another course. something new. A new window is going to open, a new door will open for you, and you'll go through that new door.
I don't think you're ever too old for new beginnings.
Okay.
Right? There's always something new that you can do. There's always a new challenge, a new friend, a new opportunity. That never goes away. You can always find something to keep yourself engaged and purposeful.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about seniors helping seniors. You interview and hire a lot of people, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And these people that you're hiring are seniors, they're older. So share with us what experience that you've had as it relates to the people that in your journey, if the people that you encounter, if they're retired or not retired, if they're active, what does that look like? Do you see a difference between people who are active and people who are not as active in your encounters?
Sure. So there's a growing trend in business today where more and more companies are actively recruiting, looking to hire mature adults, mature workers. There's a shortage of workers. The reliability of some of the younger generations has much to be desired. And so there's a growing trend. I mean, the AARP has started an initiative that where you take an employer pledge to focus on hiring mature adults, people 50 and older. So I've been participating in that, and they have quarterly meetings, and there's multiple businesses that are looking and actively recruiting individuals who have life experience that's translatable, work experience that's translatable into new areas. Really, it doesn't matter what your background is. If you've been in sales or engineering or IT, you will have translatable skills that will go into other career opportunities where companies are actively hiring and recruiting mature adults because of the value that they can add to their companies. For me, it doesn't matter what your background is. You know, when we think about people that we want to hire as our caregivers, you don't have to have a background in caregiving. You don't have to have a CNA or a home health aide certification. What we look for are people who are physically active. You've got to have a level of mobility. You need to have a reliable vehicle, and you need to have a heart to help other people. Regardless of what your background is, we have people that we provide care for that will match with your background, that will be looking for someone like you. Someone who has, you know, they may be in their 90s now, but they had a career in engineering, and if you're a person with a background in engineering and you can relate to them, then you could be a perfect match, regardless of what your background was.
So are you seeing those individuals that you're working with and placing them as, I guess, in their on-call jobs with you? Are you seeing their activity enhancing their health, that they're living longer
absolutely.
and they're engaging more, that engagement is really helping their health?
For sure, and that's one of the reasons some of the people that join our staff do so. They want to be active, but they want to have flexibility. And we all know, the more engaged we are, physically, mentally, the better it is for our long-term health. That's true for all of us, regardless of our age. If we are engaged in things where we're learning new things, we're engaging with people socially, we're physically active, it benefits all of us, regardless of the stage that we are in life. And so we find that some of the people who join us from other careers are incredibly fulfilled by the work that they do. It's not as stressful as being in a corporate job, but it gives them a chance to have meaningful interactions, to have a meaningful career where they know they're improving someone else's life.
Okay, very good, thank you. So, Steve, we're going to start with you. I asked this earlier, and I actually really liked your answer, so I'm kind of interested to see now what your answer is now. What stage of life would you say that you're in now, and what makes you say that?
So the stage that I'm in right now is probably spread across 3 stages.
Okay.
For instance, the second stage, I think I can't remember what the second one was last month, but it was I still continue to learn.
Okay. We all do, we're here.
Yep. I love history, so I'm always studying history. But I worry about, I don't want to call it worry, but I want to use the term concerned with things that I have planned in the future so that it's focused on what I'd call a legacy. I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling that need, you might call it. I try to be purposeful in everything that I decide to do.
Okay. You're not just doing something to stay busy. You're not looking for busy work. You're doing things that builds towards your legacy or makes you feel fulfilled personally.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So, Mom, I'm asking you the same question. So what stage of life do you think you're in right now, and what makes you say that?
I would have to agree.
Yeah, like a rock star up here.
I'd have to agree with your response. I think I kind of dancing at the end, trying to find my spot. One thing, this is a little short public service announcement. 2 weeks ago, I got hearing aids. If any of y'all need hearing aids or hearing check, oh my gosh, quit putting it off. And I know you put it off because I know I did. Joining in the world's almost impossible if you can't hear it. So that's my public service announcement.
I'm proud that you didn't do a commercial for who gave you the
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I'm proud.
Check with me after and I'll tell you.
Yeah. She knows that she's not allowed to sell, trust me, she'll sell. And she's not getting profit from it, but she'll still do it, so. So why do you think so the hearing aids have opened up actually some new stages for you?
Oh, and they kind of came at the right stage. But I taught my clients, I've worked with clients on the importance of hearing aids for 20 years. I now can do it with passion. I was teaching the right thing. Sometimes the teacher's the slowest one to learn. So I'm telling y'all, don't do what I did, do what I say, because you really are missing the world more than you know.
Okay, so you stay pretty busy. I usually tell people with the clients that I help that I will get calls from adult children saying, have you talked to my mom? Because I can't get her to return my call, or my dad because they're so busy they have a calendar. And I get to stay on their calendar as a realtor because if I'm selling their house, they do want to return my calls pretty quick. I'll just be honest. Now, they don't return them later, but they return them while we're selling the house. I now feel kind of bad because I am now that adult child occasionally that says I can't find my mom because she's pretty busy. So tell us a little bit about how you're staying busy and what appears to what you're doing purposefully in your staying busy, because it's not just random, and you sure don't do things just to do them. You're pretty intentional. So what kind of things are you doing, and how are you staying purposeful, and what are you doing to do that?
The injury I had took 20 months to heal. During that 20-month time, I had 10 or 12 minutes that I could kind of be up, going in the world and feeling okay, and after about 15 minutes, it felt like the whole backside got set on fire. And the only way to deal with that was to lay flat. So for 20 months, I had this ideal retirement life. I'd get up, go down to the little cafe down the corner, eat, come home, watch a little TV, take a little nap, get up again, go do a little groceries, maybe visit with a friend, always geared by that 12-minute window I had. And I thought, now I can see why people like this. Until the end of that 20 months. And then I realized how old I was. Because I didn't have a muscle in my body that was working right. Not one muscle in my body. And so I knew I've got a choice now. I can either deal with the most pressing problem, or I can stay here and enjoy what looks like retirement to me and die in a year or two. And I decided to prove I was right, that it was okay that I stay in my apartment and enjoy my life and eat out and do nothing. So I tried to get a personal trainer. Well, it really proved to be wrong. So what I'm wanting to tell y'all, that purposeful decisions you make every day I made a purposeful decision to reach out to get help when I knew I couldn't help myself. I was at a point I could not help myself. I would walk downstairs to our beautiful gym, look in the door, say there's no way, and close the door and go eat lunch. I did that over and over and over again until I finally thought, Diane, you're not even practicing what you preach. When you need help, reach out. That was a purposeful act I did to reach out for help.
So a lot of your time right now is really focused on your health.
That's correct.
And working out and being exercise and healthy. That's really been your focus really the last 6 months?
5 months.
5 months, okay. And she keeps telling me, she goes, I like this personal trainer, but I really don't like him at all. And he keeps
Correct.
coming back. That's her standard line to me. So it's about finding the right people to help you be purposeful for what goals you're looking for, correct?
Correct. Okay, don't undervalue your purposeful step in reaching for help. I think we often think if I ask for help, it's because I'm weak. Oh no, you're being purposeful when you ask for help. That's a very purposeful step.
Except for GPS.
Well,
Except for you.
I do have GPS issues.
Yes. Okay, so Steve, so then now, you keep pretty busy. So what are you doing that's keeping you busy and being purposeful? What are some of the things that you're doing in a daily life, just in general? Oh,
So it kind of goes back to something my mom, I grew up in Broken Arrow and moved here in '83 with wife and I moved in for the career. And so my mom was back in Broken Arrow by herself. Dad had already passed. And anytime there was a problem, my mom always mentioned about her deacon at her church would come and check on her. And so from that, I kind of got involved in a ministry at our church to kind of take care of people that are kind of falling through the cracks, homebound people that can't get out, or isolated people that just don't want to get out for whatever reason. And so that kind of became my passion. And along came Maryland
Villages.
with Villages OKC, and it was still the passion of that in a slightly different flavor.
Okay.
And from that, it's just been what I've done.
Okay. And been pretty busy, but purposefully busy, not just because
Yep,
someone's filling you a house.
right.
Okay. So as you can, what these guys are really telling us, they're both incredibly different. Their purposes are different. Each person's purpose is very individualized, and you guys had to decide that for yourselves and share that information with your family, your loved ones, so they kind of hopefully support your vision and your purpose, correct? Okay. So, Kevin, you also work with a lot of people as clients who require some level of personal support. That's why you're in business, correct? Yeah. So can you talk about the difference we talked a little bit about this, but the difference in the wellness of people who tend to engage and be purposeful and activity versus those who are not. So we talked a little bit about that before, but the people that you're helping, the clients that you have, their wellness may not be because of an inactivity, but lots of different reasons, correct? Health and inactivity, different things.
Well, sure. I mean, we have a number of clients that we serve. They have a need because of a physical condition, some sort of disease or health condition that requires them to need assistance, right? We have other clients that need assistance because of other conditions like dementia or that sort of thing, where we provide respite for their loved one who's their primary caregiver. We have some clients, though, that need assistance because they've lived too long in isolation and inactivity. And it's not that their lives could have been different, but because of certain life choices, now they're at the point where they're isolated, they're alone, they need assistance and because they've lost mobility due to inactivity, right? So I think we all know, it's well-established health facts that we need to remain active, we need to remain social as much as possible. It helps us not just with our lifespan, but with our health span, that we live healthier longer when we're engaged in social activities, employment, volunteerism, those sorts of things. That helps increase our health span. And so the services we provide can help increase lifespan. But many of the people that we serve have already made choices that impacted their health span, right? And so I would encourage everyone here today, find a way to stay active, find a way to stay engaged, find a way to continue to meet new people, to stay physically active, mentally active. That will not just help your lifespan, it will help your health span as well.
So I have a question also. So the clients that you have, and you have employees that help them, do you see a difference when they begin to be engaged on a different social level, who may have been isolated? What kind of differences are you seeing with that once they're given empowered and given the tools to be able to re-engage?
So I've got an ideal example, I think. So we have a client that we care for who's actually in an assisted living community here in the metro. She moved here not because she wanted to, but because her family encouraged her to do so. She was in a coastal city where the cost of care was much, much more expensive. She had a daughter here in the area, and so the daughter said, look, move here. It's a third of the cost for you to be in an assisted living community here. It'll help you live more independently longer. You know, your resources will last longer here, plus it's right next door, let's do it. Well, she was not happy. She didn't want to leave her home city, her home state. She didn't want to move to Oklahoma. And I don't know, have you noticed that some people, when they get upset about one thing, it just affects everything? You know, sometimes when we get angry about one thing, that just spills over into every other area of our life. And that's kind of the way she was. She moved into this community, but because she was so upset about being there, she wasn't making any friends, wasn't being able to socialize and really settle in this new community. And after she got there, she had an accident that resulted in her being wheelchair bound without one-on-one assistance. And this is a wonderful community where she stayed, but they just don't have the staff to provide one-on-one care to help her regain her mobility. And so her daughter reached out to us, and we began to provide caregivers to assist her in her assisted living community. And our goal was to provide companionship and to help her regain her mobility. We would provide someone that would walk with her, standby assistance, one-on-one, every time we were there to help her regain her strength and get out of the wheelchair. So we began to provide that care. We were there a few days a week. Well, over the months, we began to see a drastic change. Her attitude began to improve. She had someone who was there for her on a weekly basis that cared for her, asked about her, listened to her, invested in her. It wasn't just about the physical assistance that was being provided. It was about the emotional support that was being provided as well. Our caregiver helped her develop friends within the community as well, because she got her out of her room, into the community, meeting other residents. And it began this transformation that we're still seeing progress today. As a matter of fact, I just got a text from the daughter last week just thanking us because of the transition that she has seen in her mom. The staff at the community have seen that same thing. And really, she just needed someone to be there for her.
Okay, so actually a lot like, okay, your staff is not personal trainers.
No.
But their support, help. So it's about asking for help and involving your community. Villages OKC, you guys involve your neighbors, you involve other friends and family. You guys are, with seniors helping seniors, you're involving other seniors, engaging. So it's helping both sides, it's a give and take. Mom, you have the personal trainer that we're so proud that he continues to come back every week, 3 times a week, we love him. So we're glad that he's here, but you've engaged other people as part of your lifestyles all the way through, correct? Okay, so Steve, any ideas? Okay, so this is the question when I read it, and I've read it several times. I'm gonna ask this question and just know that I'm a little scared. We're going to see what answers we get, and not because of your answer, Steve, but I'm going to have to ask this of my mom too. And so we're going to see what answer I get from this. But we'll
So
see.
this is why I'm sitting next to you.
Yes, this is the real reason. Now you understand. Okay, so any ideas about what is next for you? Do you see any changes in your current lifestyle on the horizon? Are you pretty happy with the things the way they are? I really expect any kind of announcements here. This is kind of unscripted at this point. When we practiced, I wanted to be surprised. So you just see a real reaction from everybody.
So I am actually in a little bit of a transition right now with Villages OKC. I've been running as a program called Caregiver Coaches. Caregiver Coaches is a program that we've got that involves helping teach caregivers what's out there for resources. And I'm transitioning out of being the lead guy on that, and I'm working with another lady that's going to pick up the reins as I phase myself out of that into something different. The something different, I don't know yet.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to be involved in Villages, obviously. I'll stay with them. I don't know what that's going to be yet. We've actually had a little bit of talking, Marilyn and I have, on this subject, but I'm still involved at my church, still involved with friends and family. I'm overbooked usually, so I'm always busy and I'm always active. I'm an avid hunter and fisherman, and so I'm always out doing something. So.
Okay, well, and you're always here each month here with Villages OKC. So guys, this will give you something next month to check back with him to see, have you made an announcement? Is there something new? Because I promise you there'll be a new project. I can't wait to hear what it is. There's just no telling what it'll be. Okay, so very good. Well, good, thank you. Okay, so Mom, I'm asking the same question.
I'm trying to give a socially appropriate answer.
I'm just going to tell the truth. Nikki's right there. Yeah, truth series. Go ahead. Nikki will like it. So go ahead and just tell the truth.
One of the nicest things I learned over the last 2 years was I really get to do what I want to do. I really get to do just what I want to do. So I could next month move to Puerto Vallarta. That's not off the table. I am looking at and kind of thinking about what's the next business I want to do, and I'm pretty excited about that. That may keep me from moving to Puerto Vallarta, but it's not a guarantee yet. So that's the richness. I just enjoy daily the richness of our age. And the richness of our age is we really don't have to feed anybody anymore. We don't have to bring the groceries home. We don't have diapers to change. We don't have a boss that's giving us thunder. And we really get to do what we want to do. And that's just a pretty bright future to me.
Okay, well, good. That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm good for that.
You're sweating.
I am a little nervous, yeah. I'm letting it go. I'm shaking it out. That's good. You just need to know I've heard this. So this encore process has just been my life. And that's okay. It's a good thing. I've learned well. I'm kind of like you, Kevin. My family members have all been, it's about encore. What's next? Not about stopping. About moving forward. Okay. So guys, now we're going to open this up to questions and answers. So any questions that you have, please think about those. We're going to have you raise your hands. Some just general reminders. As you ask your questions before the panelists answer, I'm going to ask that you let me repeat it so everybody can hear what that question is. And then also, if there's a question that might be a little too specific, too personal, we may just have you see the individual, that would not be a general answer for everybody. Then we may just table that and have you speak with the panelists afterwards, because when we're finished today, they're all going to stick around. They'll be at the back of the room, and you're welcome to come and chat with them as well then, okay? So, are we ready? Do you guys have some questions? This group always has questions. Who has a question? Yes, Nikki. See?
So Diane, has it been difficult for you to give up your identity as a psychologist? And if so, how are you doing that?
Okay, so the question is, has it been difficult for you to give up your identity as a psychologist? And how has that been for you?
feeling like you lost your identity is going to be a part of the process of retiring.
Okay, so
It
now hold
just
on.
is.
So how did it make you feel?
Oh, it feels horrible.
Okay.
It feels horrible. My gosh, you worked 60 hours a week for the last 60 years. Don't run from that horrible feeling, though, because it starts to pass. No, I'm still a psychologist. I did that 40 years. I will always be a psychologist. It makes it sometimes difficult if you're my daughter or my friend, but I am a psychologist. But yes, you will feel that.
Okay.
You absolutely will.
So now also, this is also part of the disclosure. So you're a psychologist the last 40 years, and then 20 years before that, what were you before you were a psychologist?
In 1966, I realized I'd got myself in a mess and I needed to work. And I got a license to cut hair. And for 20 years, I cut hair, and the last 10 or 15 of it in a shop I built on my house. That's how I raised my children. And to keep my sanity, I started a college. And that's the road that led me to finishing a PhD eventually.
So,
At
38.
38, yeah, late 30s is when my career changed.
Well, no, you were 42 when you got your PhD.
Correct. Losing that identity is different, though, than how it feels at the end of your career. It's totally different. It's more of a choice then. That was a very physically demanding job. There was immediate benefit to you making a career change. It's a little different than the end of your career. But just don't be afraid of that feeling. Say it out loud, feel it. Because no, you didn't lose your identity. It just feels that way for a while.
Okay, good question. Okay, what other questions we have? Yes, ma'am.
I had a question for Kevin. Do you hire for seniors helping seniors? Do you hire people that are limited mobility? Maybe they're in a walker or a wheelchair, or maybe they can't drive at night. Is there still like room for them? Is there a place for them to help out?
Good question. So her question was for Kevin. When he's hiring, does he hire seniors that may have mobility, some limitations with driving at night? Or is he able to employ and pair people with different challenges and physical limitations?
So yes and no. So there are some mobility issues that would prohibit you from being a caregiver in some cases, depending on the client's needs. That's really what drives how we match a caregiver with a client. And we have a number of caregivers that don't drive at night. That's no issue. We give them, match them with clients who need assistance during the day. So we have a number that no longer drive at night and work with us. We have not yet hired someone with mobility issues, although I wouldn't be opposed to that, because someone who uses a walker and is still able to drive could still transport one of our clients to a doctor's appointment or to their beautician or to get a manicure or a pedicure or to go shopping. So that would not necessarily be a limiter. So we're actually pretty open as to who we hire, as long as whatever their limitations may be do not prohibit them from meeting the client's needs. There wouldn't be any reason for us to not consider them.
And so really, it'd be if someone's interested, it's always better to come, apply, and have that conversation, because it's very individualized.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Good question. Okay, what other questions do we have? Yes, sir.
This isn't a question, it's a tag along with Kevin, to really reinforce what you said. I have a cousin who lives in San Antonio, Texas, Martha, and her sister lives here in Memphis. Martha was living by herself in her son's home. He's an opera singer who's gone to Germany and visit. He's gone 80% of the time, so Martha was by herself. In Thanksgiving, her sister Olivia went to visit her over Thanksgiving. She said Martha was out of it. She found her standing in her closet, not knowing where she was or where she needed to go. So they knew immediately she had to go into a retirement home. And none of the retirement home people think it's safe. But we had her 80th birthday party, surprise birthday party in December. She had been in this nursing home or this retirement center 9 days. 9 days from being alone to being in a retirement center. Her sister, who saw her in December, said, "That's not my sister. The one I saw last Thanksgiving didn't know where she was. Now she's playing bingo, she's playing cards, she's going to activities. She's a different person. 9 days of being alone with people."
With the proper care and having social engagement. So the very short version of that, in case you could not hear back in the back, was that he had a family member that was living with her son. Son was opera singer, traveled a lot, she was by herself. Family came and saw her. She was very isolated in the closet, incoherent, not knowing what was going on. They put her in a retirement community. 9 days in the retirement community, having her celebrating her birthday. Family came back to see her, incredibly amazed, very happy and pleased. Was back to being the sister they were expecting. She was engaging, healthy, and well taken care of. So having that social engagement was incredibly important then. Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing. Okay, what other questions do we have? Yes, yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Steve. I'm a caregiver for my husband, and I'd like to know more about the caregiver coaches and what that is.
Okay, so she's a caregiver for her husband and would like just a little bit more information about the caregivers group. And then also afterwards, I highly recommend you go back and chat with him because I bet he'll have a handout for you too. So go ahead, tell us a little bit about your caregiver group.
So we meet once a month. What we try to do is engage different experts in the field of healthcare, transportation, and home care, and VA benefits. We try to cover the full spectrum of what people might need. And we typically try to go into faith communities and so that the pastor or the staff don't feel like they have to be the expert in everything. And hope there's no staff here. They're not usually all that expert at some of this stuff anyway, but we do work with them. We try to get 2 or 3 people in a community and get them educated, get them equipped with these resources, and then they serve their faith community. So when somebody comes around and says, "Hey, my dad's a veteran and I just don't know anything about the benefits. Where do I go?" That person, the pastor says, "Go see this person." Now, there's a lot more involved in that, but feel free to stop by. I'll be glad to tell you more about it and more details on it. So I'll be at the back table.
So basically, they're helping educate people on where to go for the answers, correct?
Right.
Where the resources are.
Yep.
We don't always know the answers, but we sure know what questions to ask and who you need to ask them of. They're really good at that. Okay, very good, good. Okay, question in the back there.
How do you know, Diane, who is a personal trainer that's excellent?
Oh, how did she pick her personal trainer? How did she find them?
Yes.
Okay.
How did you afford it?
And how did you afford it?
Well, I'm not going to Europe this year. But I could not have gone to Europe physically. Next year I might be able to. How did I find him? I almost hate to tell this, because it's probably the worst way in the world to find him, personal trainer. After a month of going down routinely and looking in the gym and closing the door and going on with my life, one Sunday morning, in the midst of knowing you're in a pickle, Diane, and you need help, and knowing that I wouldn't go to a gym. I mean, you could, if you need a personal trainer at a gym, I think they're less expensive. I wasn't going to go to a gym. That was very clear to me. So I Googled. And I wouldn't recommend this. I think sometimes the good Lord takes care of us when we need to be took care of. I Googled personal trainers in Oklahoma City that come to your home. And this gentleman called me back. Now, like I say, I'm not saying that as a recommendation, but I'm just telling you.
I didn't hear all of that. I just heard half of that, my story and the version I got. So thank goodness we got to hear the part about invite an axe murderer to your home.
I would tell you probably personal referrals are better, although I really didn't know any anybody that had used a personal trainer.
Well, now
and it worked out well.
Well, it did work, yeah, it did. But the good news is now, if you wanted to come chat with her afterwards, I bet she could probably give you that referral since he's not been over there in
Exactly.
6 months. We think he's probably a pretty reliable source, yes. Oh, we're gonna try to have him here next month. Oh, very good. Okay, well, there you go. That's all sorts of news. Now you understand why I get along well with Nikki, because she can say things like this and I don't blink. Why? Because I've had this experience most of my life. One I am for the other is all I can let you know, is that I'm really good at it. I've been well trained. She didn't know that that's why I was so well trained. Okay, next question. Who else had a question? Yes, ma'am.
What do you do about your finances? When you want to go into your encore stage, no matter whether you want to just do nothing or do a lot or something different, at some point in time, you have to know how you're going to pay for it.
Okay, very good. So let's start with Greg. You talked a little bit about with Encore, with finances. How did you go about, when did you start planning? How did you plan? We don't need your budget, but how did you go about, what was the thought process to make sure you had the money to fund your Encore life? Okay, how did you do that?
So, plan ahead, bottom line. Always saved from the day I started. I had a plan all along to retire in 30 years. That was in 1983, and I would have been 57. I'm staying with that plan. It's still a good plan, although I'm now 67, but it was always a good plan. But plan ahead. And once we got to the point where we were there, you work with experts in the finance world to decide kind of where you want to start doing that, where you want to start putting your money, and eventually at some point when you do actually walk out the doors, you've already got your plan executed and it's they're waiting on you. So
is it also part of budgeting for the future? Like you aren't like flying to Europe every other week, or you're not, you knew what you wanted to do and kind of how you budgeted it and staying within that budget and knowing that it is less later on in the Encore, it may be less to reallocate. Was that part of that process?
yeah, it definitely was. We had to cut back to once a month going to Europe.
Oh, my God. It's hard.
It really wasn't hard. So, no, there was I'm trying to remember the guy's name that's finance expert, the do everything in cash guy. Dave Ramsey. Live today like no one else so that you can live tomorrow like no one else. And so we cut ourselves back. We didn't have all the extra bells and whistles that a lot of people did. You know, we lived a little bit, I don't want to say meagerly, because it didn't look like it was meager to me, but we did cut back so that we could put money back and live on that down the road. So it was always in the plan.
Okay, so Mom, talk a little bit about yours.
I don't see what I'm doing now any different than my whole life about finances. To me, it's always been shift when you need to shift, compromise, and know what your priority is. Now, my priorities have changed over the years. Years ago, my priority was I had 2 children. Now, they're doing fine. My priority is me, so I have to there's a real shift in, unless you're just really wealthy, I'm not. What's most important to me really becomes a real important question.
Well, and also with your budgeting, she also incorporated expense savers, so that a lot of hers was downsizing. So instead of continuing to fund ranch and animals and things that she had done all of my adult life, she gave those things up and took that money in the budget and reallocated it. So I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. And now she can hire a trainer. So it's about reallocating the funds that you have and giving up the things that were no longer added value to her. And that was a big part of her budget and a big part of what she's able to refinance or to invest and do different things with. Yes, Nikki.
I have a question for Kevin. How many of the people that you hire would you say percentage-wise want a
so the question was, what's the percentage of the people that Kevin hires are people who are needing that subsidized income through their Encore life, or are they doing it for personal fulfillment? What's that kind of that split?
So that's going to be difficult for me to answer. That's not a part of the interview. When we talk to prospective caregivers, we don't ask them,
I think that's probably an HR issue for the question. So are you working because you really need the money, or are you doing it so we can maybe not pay you and you just love it?
But this would be my guess, okay? And that's what I'm going to say. It's my guess, just based on what I know about who our caregivers are, right? I would guess we probably have 10 to 15% of our caregivers that are doing it just because they just want to be active and engaged. They're looking for something, they've retired and then they got bored and they want to do something that's not, too stressful. They want to have meaningful employment. My guess would be, just based on my personal knowledge, because again, we don't ask that question, but probably around 15% of our caregivers are doing it just because they just want to do something to give back. They want to, stay busy, be active, and help other people, and this is a way for them to do so. But the majority of our caregivers, because some of them are CNAs and home health aides, this is their career, it's what they do, so they're doing it because they need the resources. We have others that are retirees or they're on Social Security, and they do this to supplement that Social Security income, and they need that. They still have living expenses that they need to cover, and we all know if your primary income source during retirement is Social Security, it's very, very difficult to get by on Social Security alone. And so we have quite a few that do that as well. And what they like about this work is the flexibility. They tell me when they can work, and we try to find work for them in the hours that they are available.
Okay. It's a good, and that sounds like a pretty good mix for your purposes, especially that those people who are still certified and professionals, and being able to intermix in that flexibility that works for them. Very good. Mm-hmm. Yes, Nikki. Okay.
Steve, did you stop for any period of time and just try recreation before you went back home?
Okay, so the question is for Steve, did he stop and just try recreation before he went back to his next Encore task or goal or project?
Never. I never had a gap. In fact, before I walked out the door at what was Alcatel-Lucent at the time when I retired from my first career, I'd already had a job waiting on me at the FAA, and they wanted me there right away. So it's just, I walked out one day and started the next. So.
We've had this conversation, at least this last week, with different people. How many of us were taught in life that you don't quit one job until you have another? Yeah, look, there's a lot. I mean, that was just ingrained in all of us. I mean, hello, she's the one who taught me, and my grandparents taught me. It was just that was the line. It was like, I think I'm going to quit. Well, do you have another job? No. Well, then what you quitting for? You need to look for another job. So something I heard from a friend was they had someone who had recently retired, we called it retirement, that he asked him, so when are you going to retire? And he said, well, probably about 10 years. He goes, well, I'm going to tell you now, you better figure out what you're going to do when you retire. And he said, why? He said, I retired. And he said, I didn't do it. He said, I was going to quit. And he said, I just came home. And he said, I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I drink coffee, and I got nothing to do all day. And he said, it was the biggest mistake I made, not retiring, but that was fine. He said, but the mistake I made was not planning ahead on what I was going to do. He said, not doing something for money, but just knowing what I was going to do, and it's taken me 6 months to do it. He said, now I'm happy. He said, but that 6 months that I wasted just getting up and drinking coffee in the morning, he said, I could have done better than that. So he said, the best advice I can tell you is before you retire, figure out what you're going to do next. And when he told that to me, I thought, well, how logical is that? Because that's what we've all been taught anyway, is don't quit one job until we have another. It's just the job's going to look different because you get to pick it. And you get to decide what that looks like. So anyway, very good. Okay, I think we've got time. I've got 2 more questions out here. So 2 more questions. Who else has a question they'd like to ask? These are great questions. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, ma'am. You're asking for Diane? Or Kevin? Oh, Kevin, so is occupational therapy involved with what you do?
No, all of our services are considered non-medical services. So we don't have occupational therapists or physical therapists. We do partner with those agencies, with those types of individuals, but that's not a service that we provide.
Okay, good question. Okay. One more question out there. Who has a good question? No pressure. Okay, so no other questions. So guys, did we learn something today? Did these guys add value to help you think about your purpose? Okay. So guys, thank you very much. I'll have you go ahead and go sit right over here and have a seat. And then guys, the good news is our panelists are going to stay afterwards, and they're going to be able to answer any questions that you have and be able to discuss anything that you might have a little more personally. I'm just glad you made it. Okay. So, and then also our educational partners are going to be in the back of the room, so they're going to stand up and they're going to head back, so they'll be ready for you guys when we finish. Now, let's see if I practiced this clicker enough. Oh no, the wrong way. No, I didn't do enough. Okay, so we have got a lot of stuff that we're getting ready to just kind of cover. So the good news is anything that you see up here that you're interested in, jot down. The first three are going to be on your evaluation. So of course you always have the information you have in front of you. The last thing you have in front of you is your evaluation. Please let us know how we did today. How we learn and how we improve is through your feedback and your input. But there's three things on there that you can pre-sign up for if you're interested, and it's yellow. Don't forget that it's yellow. It's easy to spot. When you're finished filling it out and you leave today, Jake will be in the back of the room, and he will be collecting them. Oh no, Kim is in the back of the room, and she's going to be collecting them. So the first thing is our next Senior Living Truth Series. The topic is The Quest for the Truth, Medicine, Healthcare, and Aging. That's going to be on Thursday, March 14th. If you're interested in that, please feel free to check the box. That way Danielle will keep you well informed. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. I want to make sure everybody hears this one. We are going to be doing a workshop. Actually, Kevin is going to be doing a workshop. If you learned a lot from Kevin today and you want to hear some more, if your question is how to re-enter the workforce in general, you've not worked in a while, you have maybe the last time you actually did an interview may have been like 1988. Or that you just haven't even thought about filling out an application online and you have some of those questions. We're going to be doing a workshop. Kevin's going to be doing a workshop in our office. It's called Considerations for Re-Entry in the Workforce. That is going to be Thursday, February 15th from 2 to 3:30. That is also on your evaluations that you can check if you would like more information. So guys, if you don't have your calendars in front of you and you're not sure exactly when it is that you are interested, sign up. And if later on when Danielle calls you to confirm if that's not a good date for you, she can put you on a wait list. And if we do another one, that other date may work better for you, so keep that in mind, okay? Then, the next one is Tell Me More. This is our new series. The OKC Mature Moves is hosting this each month. We're doing it at the library, Northwest Library. Our next topic is what does it mean to sell by owner? FSBO. How did Danielle call it? FSBO. She called us something else and said, oh no, FSBO. So anyway, you learned something new today about if you just walk out knowing FSBO is for sale by owner. I actually will be the speaker for this, so if you thought I did a pretty good job and I was fairly entertaining, I'm not going to have my sidekick mom will not be at this one. But if you still enjoyed it, please come. It'll be a good conversation. Lots to learn as homeowners. Not initially, I'm not going to teach you how to sell your own home, but what some of the pitfalls are, what to be aware of, and why it may be a good idea or a bad idea, just things you want to know, okay? Then we have, this is the one everybody really wanted to know. The shredding event for the spring. Our annual shredding event and the book donation is going to be Wednesday, March 27th. We will say this again, and we will have it publicized, but this is one you will want to mark on your calendars. So any of the things that we're talking about up here today, if I go through the slides too fast because I've got several more to go through, if you miss any of them, Danielle has been so gracious as to make one master list, and it's on her table in the back of the room, so please feel free to stop there as well. But the shredding event, how many people here have participated with the shredding event in the past? Oh, see, it warms my heart, I love it. We have a truck that comes to our site, and they will shred your documents in front of you. They put it right in the truck. It's completely secure. And our goal is to fill the truck. Last year, it rained, and we still filled that truck 3/4 full. So I'm gonna tell you, this year it's not gonna rain. I already know that on March 27th, we're not gonna have rain, and we're gonna fill the truck. It's a great time to get rid of your old tax returns, documents that you don't need anymore. It just makes you feel lighter. There's no limit. You can bring as much as you want. The second is we will also have the Salvation Army there, and they're accepting book donations, so it's a good time if you have books that you're no longer enjoying and you want that to help continue their lives. Salvation Army helps them find new homes and good new readers for your books, okay? Then, oh, that's it. That's all we have. So very good. I was thinking I had a whole bunch more. So we're good. Guys, thank you so